back to the news at 10. The federal government is targeting a 2018 deadline to achieve self-sufficiency in rice production. And to achieve that, the government has taken some steps to encourage rice farmers. Among them is the Anchor Borrowers Program backed by the Central Bank of Nigeria. On our big story tonight, our correspondent Gloria Umezoke takes a look at how the government intends to achieve this target.
It is harvest time for Saidu Mohammed, a 59-year-old rice farmer from Nasarawa State. When he left his business 3 years ago, he took up rice farming. Today, he harvests more than 4,000 tons every year, which is about 400 bags.
The policy of the present government favors the farmers this year. So if the policy can be sustained, definitely, by next year, we expect more harvest.
The consumption of rice in Nigeria has grown rapidly over the past decade and currently stands at 7 million metric tons. But only 2.7 million metric tons is produced by farmers in Nigeria, which presently leaves a gap of 4.3 million metric tons. And so the government relies on importation to bridge the gap. The big question now is, can Nigeria truly stop importation of rice and be self-sufficient?
It is very possible for us to attain. All you just need to do is to put just extra 500 hectares into rice production twice in a year. That gives us 1 million hectares. On the average of 4 tons per hectare, it gives us about 4 million metric tons of paddy. And the conversion rate of paddy to made rice is just 60%. So if you convert that 4 million, you convert it into made rice, it will give us about 2.4 million metric tons, which is far above our supply gap.
How would you come and tell me in next year Nigeria will be self-sufficient in rice? This is rice that we're just trying to put in perspective. No more stones. It has to be well polished. We have to sell it to Nigerians as well. We have to ensure that things are done properly. I don't want to blab. That is the style of governance in Africa and Nigeria. We don't face reality. There are issues beyond planting rice.
8 of 36 Nigerian states contribute over 50% of the local production, and this is changing the future of tens of thousands of rice farmers.
The goal is to make Nigeria self-sufficient in rice in the shortest possible time, and even export. And I'm glad what we are witnessing in Kebbi, what we are witnessing across the country, shows that the goal is already at hand.
To start germinating.
Touring the farms, we observed that the capacity of small and medium-scale mills in the country needs to be increased to be able to mill quality rice in the country.
Sometimes we do it locally. We don't have help. And when we do it sometimes, if the thing materializes well, we can enjoy it. But when the thing doesn't materialize, we cannot have anything to pay fertilizers and some other chemicals.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has disbursed close to about 3 billion naira, which is meant to support the anchor borrower farmers.
In spite of a 49% self-sufficiency ratio, the Buhari-led administration is determined to stop importation, maintaining that the era of imported rice is fast fading.
Before now, they were only growing rice during the rainy season. Right now, there's renewed investment by federal government, to promote dry season rice farming, which means that we'll be able to farm rice all year round.
Apart from the Anchor Borrower scheme, which is currently helping to bridge the support gap among farmers, for the nation to truly achieve self-sufficiency in rice by 2017, greater investment has to be stepped up in the rice value chain, which also includes investment or rehabilitation in the irrigation scheme. From Tunga Away Local Government in Nasarawa State, Gloria Umezoke, Channels Television News.
Let's take a look at some business news now, and here's Anne Waudu.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot for joining me on Business News tonight. Several government agencies and economic experts have begun a two-day national economic retreat on strategies of transforming Nigeria's economy. The program under the Ministry of Budget and National Planning is divided into 5 subgroups of macro stability, economic diversification, competitiveness, jobs and social inclusion, and governance. Speaking at the event in Abuja, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udo Udoma, says the federal government is determined to empower the private sector in order to promote growth.
Partnership with the private sector, unleashing the private sector, getting a more efficient and more competitive private sector, so that we have a private sector that can grow this economy, that can produce things here in Nigeria. We move from an importing, consuming country to a producing nation. If you remember that we launched our Made in Nigeria campaign, it's all part of that exercise. So the private sector is key. And what we want is to empower the private sector, make it easy to do business, grow the economy, and also look after the vulnerable, so that the growth will be an inclusive growth. We will not leave anybody behind, because in the past, some of our growth, poverty still did not reduce. We want growth, we want to reduce poverty. And one of the ways of doing it is empowering the private sector so we can create jobs.
Nigeria's food import bill declined by 5.7% from 1.11 trillion naira to 648 billion naira in 5 years. Speaking at a conference on economic diversification, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Chief Audu Ogbe, says the efforts are being made to reduce importation of wheat, rice, fish, sugar and other staple food items. The minister, who was represented by the Director in charge of Business and Marketing in the ministry, Mr. Musibau Aziz. And the negative trend at the Nigerian Stock Exchange was reversed today at the close of trading, ending the session in the green. For more on this, let's join Millicent Walker.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The Nigerian equities market got some respite on Thursday after 6 straight sessions of losses. The all-share index appreciated by 0.18% to 26,221.75 with a market capitalization of 9.02 trillion naira. Investors exchanged 137.63 million shares worth 900.94 billion naira in 3,283 deals. While market breadth was negative, though, with 19 losers against 15 gainers. Air Service, GT Bank and Vitaphone were the top 3 gainers for the session. But on the flip side, Cadbury, Forte Oil and Total lost 9.65%, 8.5% and 8.19% each. On the volume chart, Sterling Bank, Chance and GT came as the top 3 category. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Millicent Walker.
Now let's look at major markets around the globe. Investors are repositioning their portfolios following the U.S. presidential election. While Asian markets went up, Europe shares closed lower as Trump rally loses momentum. Well, thanks for watching Business News Tonight. Back to you, Ijoma.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot for that, Anne. The dwindling number of science, technology, engineering and mathematics teachers in Nigerian schools is one of the reasons for the lack of understanding of these subjects in those schools. This was identified at a forum organized by the Agbami Co-Ventures held at the Lagos Business School. Participants agreed that for Nigeria to achieve technological development, the country needs to have a new approach to education.
In attendance at the Agbami STEM Symposium are students from different schools in Lagos State, representatives from the Agbami Co-Venturers and other stakeholders interested in promoting the development of science, technology, engineering and mathematics, which stand for the acronym STEM. With science advancing technology around the world, speakers here look at the challenges and prospects when it comes to encouraging sustainable corporate citizenship in STEM education.
To succeed in this new information-based and technology-driven society, Nigerian youth need to develop their capabilities in STEM to levels far exceeding what was considered acceptable in the past.
There is a serious gap in the skills around science and technology, engineering, medical sciences, and in some parts the arts. But in this one, we have recognized the fact that if this gap, if this lack is not addressed now, in a few years' time, there will be a very serious problem in the world.
For the keynote speaker, who is a former Minister of Communication Technology, Dr. Omobola Johnson, revisiting priorities in STEM education in Nigeria is vital.
I think the first thing we need to do is what the Agbami Co-Ventures is doing, and that is, special grants, special scholarships, and bursaries for people entering university and studying a STEM subject.
The most rewarding investment is the investment in people, because the greatest assets of a nation are its people. This is the underlying philosophy behind our social investment in the areas of health, education, and economic empowerment.
And for Agbami Co-Venturers, educational programs such as the Agbami Medical and Engineering Professional Scholarship, which commenced in 2009, is one of the ways to encourage science, technology, engineering and mathematics studies in Nigeria.
150 youths in Anambra State are commencing a training program where they will acquire vocational skills towards reaching financial independence. The youths were selected from 20 local government areas of the state, and they'll undergo 3 weeks of training.
The more productive a society's youth population is, the more its capacity to contribute to development. That's the reason behind an initiative by the Anambra State government to equip its younger generation with requisite vocational skills towards job creation and financial independence. Excitement fills the air at the Federal Youth Development Center in Awka South local government area of the state as Governor Willie Obiano arrives at the venue for the launch of a skills acquisition training program. First, he inspects the accommodation provided for the trainees before moving on to the business of the day. The governor tells the trainees the aim of the program, which he says is to raise their proficiency level in various vocational skills.
In terms of skills, you will be able to get something that will use to feed you and your family. And that's the skill that we are giving you, so that you don't just go and become idle.
For the trainees, it's a good opportunity to acquire skills for lucrative business areas such as ICT, cosmetology, confectionaries and bricklaying, among others. The Commissioner for Youth Entrepreneurship and Sports Development talks about other benefits of the program.
This training is meant to equip these youths with these skills so that they become financially independent, so that they can take care of themselves and take care of their relatives around them.
Other advantages of the program include support and guidance from established organizations.
The program that will come out of this training today, I'm sure that most of you have not managed money before, you have not managed businesses, so we invite you. We'll be with you. We'll make sure that we'll get you to succeed.
From here on, these 150 trainees will commence a 3-week training process, after which they will launch out and eventually create more jobs. The ripple effect of this is the bigger picture the government says will secure the state's economic future.
Next on the news at 10, Super Eagles assures fans of victory over Algeria in the 2018 FIFA World Cup qualifier. And that will be on sports. Please stay with us.